the
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Newman City Council regular meeting, October 8th, 2019. Would everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance of the flag and remain standing for the invocation. Ready to begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our thought for today is a hope that I will see the world with enthusiasm and curiosity. Let's pray. Most gracious Father, we thank you for the opportunity to serve our community tonight. We pray your blessings on this meeting in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Mary. Could we have roll call, please?
Councilmember McDonald?
Here.
Graham? Here. Mayor Pro Tem Candia?
Here.
Day? Here. Mayor Martina?
Here. Declaration of conflict of interest?
None.
Being none?
No.
I'd like to report out of closed session. Directions have been provided to staff. Moving on to item 6, ceremonial matters. There being none tonight. Item 7, items from the public, non-agenda items. If anyone like to speak to the council, now would be the time. I think David Heff from Mosquito Abatement is here and would like to tell us about all those mosquitoes out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, very quickly. Got a little slideshow for you guys tonight.
Oh, cool.
Just so you have something to look at while I'm talking. Let's see here. Just to briefly review, just for anybody that's here in the audience that might have any questions about what we do or where we do it. You can see the bottom portion of the map here in the blue. That's the Turlock Mosquito Abatement District. That's our district. It covers all the way down here from Newman, all the way up here to LaGrange and everything in between. And so it's pretty much everything south of the Tuolumne River. So as soon as you cross the river into Modesto, then you're in the east side abatement, Mosquito Abatement District. We do work together, but we are two separate entities with two separate boards, and we function completely separate, but we do work together because we do share a boundary. All this boundary we share with Merced County, and so that's also a very significant boundary which we have to work together closely with their program as well, because we have issues that they might be the source of, so we have to work together to try to get those resolved. In terms of our laboratory, we do mosquito surveillance, we hang traps, we pick up those traps, we bring them back in to have the mosquitoes tested, and for right now they're tested for West Nile virus, St. Louis encephalitis, and Western equine encephalitis. These are the last two are the ones that have been pretty much native to California for decades. West Nile virus showed up about 15 years ago in California, and it first entered the United States in New York, and it made its way across the continental United States, and it entered into California and Southern California, moved up the state, and it's been here in this county for about 15 years. And that's the virus that is most active now in California. We do pick up SLE again, St. Louis encephalitis. We have been picking that up the last few years. It seems to be a more powerful, dominant strain of the virus, and so it's starting to pop its head back up. Again, you may have heard in articles this summer a lot of EEE, triple E going on. That's Eastern equine encephalitis, so it's very similar to the stuff that we have out here. This year's been a very active mosquito-borne virus year across the United States. In terms of our operations, we take service requests. If folks have a mosquito problem, we'll come out and we'll hang traps to ascertain what the problem, what the species are, what the level of the problem is. If it meets the threshold that we deem it to be a public health issue, then that's when we'll initiate control strategies. We'll do source reduction. That's our first, is to go out and find where those mosquitoes are coming from. But until we find that, we have to get the mosquitoes under control. And so, of course, we do larviciding and adulticiding, and that means killing the larvae and killing the adults so that we can keep the mosquitoes to a level to where the likelihood of a virus being transmitted to humans is minimal. And then, of course, we do the public outreach, and we're always out at the Newman Fair and the Stanislaus County Fair and Patterson Apricot Festival, and we try to hit all the fairs for all the cities to just get that interaction with the public. So service requests, this is where we interact with your residents, and it's completely free. We will come out, we'll inspect their property, but the predominant factor for us is that the folks that call us usually are not the ones causing the mosquito breeding. They're just being bit by them. And so it's not a direct customer client business relationship. We go out, we take the service request, but now we got to find out where they're coming from, and that's going to mean a neighbor. It could be a neighboring dairy, it could be a backyard swimming pool, it could be an under the streets storm drain. There could be numerous reasons, and so that's where we're putting traps to figure out what kind of species they are. That's going to give us clues on where they're breeding and where they're coming from. And it's also going to let us know, are these mosquitoes that carry disease or not? We'll test them, and then based on that information, we will see if it meets our threshold to do chemical larviciding and adulticiding. So this is one of the traps that we typically use in the top left-hand corner there. It's called an adult EVS trap. It's basically using carbon dioxide or dry ice. We put it in that bucket up there. The dry ice melts. The mosquitoes use CO2 that we breathe out to track back to us. And so the mosquito tracks back thinking that's a rather large animal, starts flying around the trap there, and eventually the trap's got a little motor on it, and it sucks them down into the net. And so we'll keep that out for approximately 24 hours, and we'll base our determination on mosquito populations based on that trap. These bottom traps here are for the invasive mosquito that I'll talk a little bit about shortly. They're a different mosquito. They're not native to California. They're going to be attracted to different traps, different lures, and different senses. And so these traps have been found especially in the Caribbean, in Asia, in South America, to be they've had years with these mosquitoes. They've tested very many different styles and designs and colors and shapes and sizes. And these are the traps that have been found that are the most attractive to those style of mosquitoes. The middle one there is just basically a little cup, and it's got water in it with a wooden kind of tongue depressor. The mosquitoes will come, lay their eggs on the wooden tongue depressor, and so we can use that. We can take those eggs and rear them up and speciate the mosquitoes that way. And so there you can see a dip. So you might see our operators around, and they've got a long pole with a white cup on the end of it, and so they'll use that as a measuring tool, and we'll say, how many larvae per dip sample, and we know how big that cup is, and it's standardized in the mosquito control industry, and that'll give us an idea of how bad the larval breeding is in a Pacific area. And so we take those either larvae or adults back to the lab, we speciate them, sort them out. Not all mosquitoes carry disease, so we're not going to test all mosquitoes. We're only going to spend our money on the ones that can actually transmit disease. And then based on that, initiate our control activities. You can see here, overall, this is the entire district. Overall, our hottest spot every year is going to be northeastern Turlock, on the way kind of in between Denair and northeastern Turlock, and some of the portions going up into Houston. But that is our most active and heavily West Nile virus active area. But you can see that Newman down here does have a bit of yellow and does have a bit of red. And so we do see West Nile virus activity and St. Louis encephalitis virus activity in Newman and the surrounding area. A lot of those mosquitoes are basically, you can see to the southeast here, this is Merced County. These are mosquitoes that we're trapping to track the flow of mosquitoes as they start developing out here in the refuge and duck clubs. And then at this time of the year, usually mid-September to, or maybe early September actually, to sometime in October, these mosquitoes begin moving to either Gustine or to Newman. And so this is typically where our district ends our activities each year as those mosquitoes begin moving into your town, carrying virus and whatnot. And so most of our control activities is keeping them out of town and keeping the level of virus in the town as low as possible. You can see here that this year was an active year. Last year we had 3 West Nile virus human cases within the district. That's with a lower number of mosquitoes. This year we've actually had a lower number of mosquitoes per capita, but we've had 4 times as many cases. So this year we just had a lot of virus activity. And you can see here in Newman, these are going to be your active spots. This is where the confluence of the rivers come together in the Hills Ferry area over here, and the Fisherman's Bend campsite out there. And we get a lot of mosquitoes from there. It's a lowland area with a lot of, I'm sure all of you have driven out there, and it's got a lot of swales and sloughs and low-lying areas that hold water, and so we get a lot of breeding there. But predominantly, most of it, you can just see all this refuge and wildlife and duck club area out here. And that's where we're getting the predominance of our mosquitoes this time of year. Those clubs don't necessarily flood up until October, but all through the summer, Merced County is allowing them to irrigate or to flood irrigate their cells. Many of them, don't have a very big water supply, so the irrigation is very slow. It takes a long time to fill up a lot of these big cells, and it just leads to a tremendous amount of mosquito breeding. And so we have to try to work closely with Merced County to keep the levels at a minimum level so that we're not seeing spillover into the town of Newman. Oops. And so here's the West Nile virus activity in the state and the St. Louis encephalitis activity. You can see Stanislaus County has both West Nile and St. Louis encephalitis activity, just no human cases with SLE. Since 2003, we've had about 6,800 cases of human, and over 300 people have died in the state. And so, this is one of our big programs, neglected swimming pools, ponds, horse troughs. These are things that we can plant mosquito fish in, and they do the work for us. The problem with pools sometimes is somebody will have a green pool, will plant the fish, then they'll clean their pool, use it for a few weeks in summer, goes green again, and we don't know that the fish are dead or gone. And so then we get mosquito breeding, we finally track it down and we go, hey, this was supposed to have fish in it. And so there's a lot of communication that we have to do with the public and residents. It's, you either got to keep your pool clean or you got to keep the fish alive. We can't be a pool service for everybody out there and to keep checking on their pools and that kind of thing. So we try to work with the public, and we do 2 airplane flyovers of the district each year during the summer to try to identify as many green pools as we can and to get on top of those, because those can be a huge problem for a neighborhood. You're pretty much guaranteed that the species of mosquito that you're going to get out of a green pool is the species that's going to carry West Nile, so it can be a huge problem. And so these are the invasive mosquitoes that we picked up in Newman this year. This would be the first finding of the Aedes aegypti mosquito, which would be this one right here, the yellow fever mosquito. You can see that it has kind of a lyre, instrument shape, kind of guitar shape on its back. And they found these in Merced a couple of years ago. We knew that they were coming. We just didn't know where The good news is that we have a pretty extensive trapping program, and so we were able to find them in Newman at a very low level. We're only getting about 1 or 2 adults per trap per night, which is very low. Any of the folks that we get calling us are concerned with the native mosquitoes that you guys are getting, like I just explained. But the problem with these things is they will quickly take over and they will quickly build up to levels that can be extremely irritating. People won't be able to sit outside in their backyards trying to, do lawn, maintenance or landscaping maintenance, or sit out by the pool, or play soccer games or baseball, or kids at school. These mosquitoes are out during the middle of the day. Very aggressive. They like mammals. They like people. They can live indoors, go through their whole life cycle, indoors. So it's very difficult to control. So we've been working with trying to get the message out there. We're going to follow up on this next year. One of the plans that I have to bring to our board is to do a mailing next year for the residents of Newman, to educate them more about the mosquito and how to identify it and who to call if they have issues. They are capable of spreading new diseases such as chikungunya, dengue, and Zika virus. We don't have those diseases here in the United States at a local level, but we do get imported cases every year, and that includes Stanislaus County. We've had dengue, chikungunya, and Zika in Stanislaus County this year, but they're usually travel related. But when you have the mosquito here that can carry these diseases, it just takes somebody to bring it back and get bit here and have a local infection. So that's what we're trying to avoid. And so here's our trapping that we've done since we've discovered Aedes aegypti, or the yellow fever mosquito, in Newman. These are the traps that we've put out that have collected Aedes aegypti. You can see that we have only collected 1 trap on the west side of Newman with the mosquito. It's pretty much Highway 33 and east, and that 1 trap only had 1 mosquito in it, so it wasn't even a high infestation. But that's the same with the east side of Newman. All those traps, the most we've caught is 4 in a trap, which is very low, and 3 of those were males who don't bite. So it's a very low level. It's something, if we didn't have the high populations of native mosquitoes moving in from Merced right now, we probably wouldn't even be getting calls about it. But it's something that we want to try to keep it at this level, because once it kind of gets out of the bag, I know there are districts and cities in Fresno where they're getting 100, 200 mosquitoes per night in one of these traps, and their calls go up 1,000%, and they just really struggle trying to control it, since it's so closely associated with people, and it's out during the middle of the day when kids are out, when people are out, when bees are out, when other animals are out that we don't want to have interaction with our spraying activities. So it makes it very difficult to control. So we'll be initiating additional control activities starting in the spring next year. One of those devices it'll be very similar to the type of fogging you may have seen our trucks do for adult mosquito control. It kind of lets out a small fog of ULV, or ultra light volume, very microscopic droplets that go out and float into the air. Those are designed to kill adult mosquitoes as they fly through the cloud. This will be for killing larval mosquitoes. So the droplets will be a little bit bigger. The material will be a substance called BTI, which is very common in all pest control. It's actually a bacteria that's found in the soil as is. They've just found that it's toxic to mosquitoes when it's ingested. It's not toxic to people or any other animal. And so it allows us to aerosol this cloud, and these tiny, tiny droplets will float into backyards, land into vases, buckets, anything that might be holding water. Let's see. So here's some of the sources. Cemeteries, just ponds or a catch basin that's clogged, Lawn drains are huge sources of these things. You don't really think about them, but you've got a corrugated hose that runs all the way up into your backyard. That's flowing the water from your backyard out to your front yard, and that thing will hold water up in there for a lengthy period of time, plus sprinkler water gets down in there. Those things breed a lot of these mosquitoes. Just anything that can hold water, such as plants, just junk. And so it's designed that the BTI will float into the air and it'll land into all these little devices holding water and all this junk or these vases or anywhere that might be a breeding ground for these mosquitoes. And it's not as efficient, but it avoids us having to go door to door, backyard to backyard, which we don't really have the staff to do at that level. And one thing that we are going to be working is trying to use drones. It was the DPR just finished their test this year, so now we can take the FAA exam and the test from DPR, and California mosquito control districts are the only agency right now that can get a drone license to apply pesticides using drones. We were able to work out an exemption. They're kind of testing it with us for other industries. And so this allows us to be much more targeted with some of our applications and to get to areas that we can't reach and it's too small for an airplane to do. So this will be a very important tool, and that's something that the district will be utilizing more in the future. So here's our website. If you want to know about anything that we're doing or any of the control missions that we're doing, we post everything that we do on Facebook and Twitter, that we send out updates, and a lot of your residents are on there, and we talk to them all the time, and they ask us questions about what we'll be doing or what we're spraying with. This is a public notice area where you click on that. It'll show you an up-to-date map of the area, and you can see this little colored polygon here. It'll show you exactly where we will be spraying with what and how, whether it's an airplane or truck or that kind of thing. You can request service on our website, and you can get a ton of information just in general about mosquito control and what we do and how we do it. And so here's just a sampling. You can see here that on the map, this is what you would see if there was no control missions being done. All these circles indicate traps where West Nile virus has been detected. And so residents will find, when they look at our screen, they'll see that where these polygons are overlap where we're getting mosquitoes with virus and where there is a public health risk. And we don't spray because it's Tuesday night or that kind of thing. It's always based on what we're finding in our traps and what the virus and mosquito counts are. And so here you can see during the summer, an airplane polygons put up, and it's just, we don't just blanket. We try to carve it out only to what we need and what needs to be done just to protect the public, and so that people can go outdoors and not get sick and that kind of thing. And like I mentioned, we do plan on getting with the city next year. I know they've posted several of our notices for the invasive mosquitoes. We'll do a mailer next year. I know that's being planned right now, as well as trying to get out and working with the city as much as we can to get the residents get the information to the residents, because this is such a backyard, close related issue with people. These mosquitoes can go through their entire life cycle indoors. We really need the public's help in trying to control these things. Everybody's got to do their own part. You've got to do your own deal in making sure you're not holding water on your property. And if everybody does that, then we can have a successful control strategy in keeping these mosquitoes from becoming more prevalent in Newman and the rest of the county. They have found these mosquitoes in Modesto as well. The city of Modesto is covered by the East Side Mosquito Abatement District, but that's the other location in Stanislaus County where they've been found. And I believe that is it, yeah. So if anybody had any questions, I'm more than
Any
willing to
questions?
answer.
from-
I have a couple of questions. And
Sure.
this was brought up once before in terms of the spraying.
Yeah.
Does it have an effect on animals? Does it have an effect on humans in terms of the spray?
No. Basically, there's two different classes of chemicals that we're allowed to use in California. One of them is a pyrethrin. It's either synthetic or it's natural, and the synthetics are made in a lab, but they're designed after the natural form of the pyrethroid, which is made from a chrysanthemum flower. That is what you're going to see out of our trucks. It has a label that we can be applied via the ground. The product that we use from the aircraft is an organophosphate. It's not any more toxic, especially at the rates that we use, but it doesn't have the company who labeled it only had it labeled for aerial, so we cannot do it out of our trucks unless they paid more money and updated the label or whatnot. So that's why we have to use the airplane. But the other reason why we're using the airplane is because we get way better coverage, especially in rural areas where we're limited to roads and whatnot. We can't get way out there with our control products to do an adequate job of mosquito control, whereas the plane can cover that entire area completely. Those polygons that you see that are drawn on the map, those are given to the aircraft. They have computer systems in their aircraft that know the exact weight and density of those droplets, and they've already did all the measurement work for any product that they put out. They know the airspeed, they know the wind direction, and they can plug all that in, and it'll show where exactly that product's going to land based on the current wind speed and air direction and that kind of thing, temperature, density of the product. And so sometimes when you see the plane, if you see it flying over you, those droplets aren't just coming straight down to the ground, because mosquitoes don't live on the ground. It would be a waste of money if that product reached the ground. Those droplets are microscopic. They're designed to float in the air and hit mosquitoes as the mosquitoes are flying through the cloud of material. That's why there's really very little interaction between what we do and the public or animals. The other answer to that question is all these products that we have, they're not special for us. These pyrethrins are the same thing you would go to Home Depot and buy for your yard. They're the same things that you would buy in a can of Raid. It's the same classic chemical. We are just using it at such a small level. I know the last time I came in here, if you thought about like a can of Coke is 12 ounces, we use less than 1 ounce for an acre of property. So we're talking, this much over an entire acre of ground, aerosoled into microscopic droplets. Mosquitoes are so small, we don't need a big drop to hit them. We just need a tiny, tiny drop. It hits them and they're dead. And the reason why we're using the two chemicals is because just like if your doctor kept prescribing a certain type of antibiotic, eventually the bugs are going to get resistance to that, and it's going to take more and more to kill them. So we've only got one other product we can use, so we're trying to cycle it so that we're killing some of the ones that are maybe living through some of our other sprays, so that hopefully both of these products can last.
Okay, I have one last question.
Sure.
Is there a plant that you know of as one that you're basically an expert in terms of the spraying, but is there a plant that someone could put around their home that would deter the mosquitoes?
I don't know of any, but there are certain smells that have been shown to be, repellent, have a repellent effect. I don't know of a particular plant, but I do know people have used like the Avon Skin So Soft has a particular scent that has been shown to be somewhat repellent, and when they get that same scent in maybe a candle and they light a few of those around a picnic table or something, that tends to have a repellent effect. So there are stuff like that, but most of the plants or the ultrasonic sound wave things some people make them, they say, hey, put this app on your phone and pay $4 and it'll make your phone release this sound that you can't hear, but it'll, most of that is not, it's not worth your money on. But there are some things, but I would highly recommend to anybody who's going to be outside during the summer, especially dusk and dawn when the mosquitoes are active, to use something with DEET. D-E-E-T. It's been used since World War II. That's when it was developed. And there's never been a case of somebody, applying too much and having some kind of medical exposure or anything like that. And it's still very, very effective in repelling mosquitoes. And there are kids' versions as well that's safe for kids and that kind of thing. One of our cases that we had a couple of years ago was a gentleman who had grown up in Stanislaus County, had spent his years here farming, and he was an avid horseman, and he was in his cab of his tractor doing some work, got bit by a couple of mosquitoes, completely remembers it, had a can of DEET right in his cab, and he said, well, I kind of grew up here, and a couple of mosquitoes wasn't a big deal. And so I didn't stop and put on the mosquito repellent. I had it right there sitting next to me. It would just take me 2 seconds. And he ended up getting West Nile. He was hospitalized. He had stroke-like symptoms where he had to learn how to eat again. It paralyzed a lot of his vocal muscles and throat muscles. He had to learn how to speak, walk again. And so it can be very debilitating. And so that's why, we're hoping that as, we come out and do these events, we are finding that more and more people are, oh, you know what, my neighbor had West Nile, or my neighbor's friend. These people are starting to humanize it. They're starting to realize that, it's still here, and it's still very active, especially in Stanislaus County during the summer. So it's extremely important to wear repellent. And to give us a call.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
No, but thank you, Dave.
Hey, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Great update.
It's
Greatly
always great to
appreciated.
hear your report because, it's a subject that the public really wants to know about.
I agree. And we're always here, and we want to make sure that the public knows. So many times we hear people go, oh, I thought it was, I had to pay something. No, it's a free service. Just give us a call. That's what we're here for. Okay. Thank you.
Greatly
Thank you so
appreciated.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, still items from the public. Anyone like to speak to the council, please go up to the podium, state your name and address for the record. Kern's leaving, okay. Kern has left the building. Okay. Being nobody else wants to speak to the council, we'll move on to item 8, which is consent calendar. A, waive all readings of ordinance and resolution except by title. B, approval of warrants. C, approval of minutes of September 24th, 2019 meeting.
I move that we approve the consent calendar as read.
I would second that.
Okay, a motion's been made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-0. Thank you. 9 is a public hearing. A, second reading and adoption of ordinance number 2019, next number, ordinance amending Title 4 Building Regulations of the Newman City Code, incorporating the California Code of Regulations, Title 24, 2019 edition of the California Building Standard Code, and authorizing staff to publish a summary of said ordinance. Good evening.
Mr. Mayor, good evening, council. As you know from the first report and staff report I gave in the first reading, the model codes, building codes are updated every 3 years. We're currently using the 2016 California Building Code, and with adoption of this ordinance, we'll be enforcing the new 2019 California Building Code starting January 1st, 2020. And with that, any questions?
Is there a lot of changes?
No,
Okay.
not in past, yeah. There's really nothing too significant.
Okay.
That-
Well, thank you.
All right.
Any questions?
No.
Okay. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks.
And let's see, we'll move on to,
Public hearing.
I'm sorry, I go minus I. Okay. Bring it back to the council for direction.
Mayor, we're in a public hearing, please.
Oh, okay, this is a public hearing. So anyone would like to speak to this subject, please go to the podium, state your name and address for the record. Being no one, I'm going to bring it back to the council for direction.
I move we adopt the second reading and adopt the ordinance number 2019 next to number, an ordinance amending the Title IV building regulations of the City of Newman City Code, incorporating the California Code of Regulations Title 24, 2019, edition of the California Building Standards Code, and authorizing staff to publish a summary of said ordinance.
Second the motion.
Okay, motion been made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-0. Thank you. Item B, adopt resolution number 2019, a resolution declaring the existence of a public nuisance under ordinance number 95-4.
Mayor, I'll go ahead and take this one. Thank you. So as you know, our code dedicates a section to public maintenance of property, including public nuisances. And as part of that process, we ask that we notify all members of the property owners anyways, that get a notice, give them an opportunity to speak if we're looking at declaring a public nuisance on their property. Tonight, we are moving forward with a public nuisance for 1553 Main Street. There's pictures of the property in your package there. All the notices have been sent to the property owner, advising them of what they needed to do to get it cleaned up, and then follow-up would be the notice, giving them a notice that there's going to be a public hearing tonight, and an opportunity to contest that. So we're asking that you hold that public hearing, and then afterwards, based upon our inspection as of yesterday, the property had not been cleaned, so we're asking you to declare a public nuisance. And then we'll continue to work with the property owners, and if they don't finish this off in a timely manner, we will abate the process and get some quotes and get it done. And then if they fail to pay, we'll post a lien on their property, so.
Okay, thank you, Michael. This is a public hearing, so I'll open to the public for any comments. Being none, I bring it back to the council for direction.
I move that we adopt resolution 2019, next to number, a resolution declaring the existence of a public nuisance under ordinance number 95-4.
And I'll second that.
Okay, motion's been made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-0. It's not very pretty. Moving on to item 10, regular business. A, first reading and introduction of ordinance number 2019, next number, an ordinance amending Title VII, fire regulations of the Newman Municipal Code, adopting by reference the California Code of Regulations, Title 24, Part 9, 2019 edition of the California Fire Code. Good evening, Chief.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Before you is item 10A, which is the first reading and introduction of Title VII, Fire Regulations of the Newman Municipal Code. This introduction is to recommend the adoption of Title 24, Part 9, 2019 edition of the California Fire Code. This is pretty similar to what Mr. Brinkman was doing for building code. The Fire Code is on a 3-year revision cycle and therefore was last adopted in 2016. The recommendations as described in the staff report include the addition of Title Fire Inspector, updated sections to reference the 2019 California Fire Code, the addition of water supply for pallet yards, the addition of outdoor storage requirements for pallet yards. There is no fiscal impact to the city of Newman anticipated. It is the recommendation of the staff that Newman City Council introduce by title and waive the reading of ordinance 2019 next in number, an ordinance amending Title VII fire regulations of the Newman City Code, and I can answer any questions you might have.
Any questions from the council?
No?
None? Bring it back for motion.
Motion to approve first reading and introduction of ordinance number 2019 next to number, an ordinance amending the Title VII fire regulations of the Newman Municipal Code and adopting by reference the California Code of Regulations, Title 24, Part 9, 2019 edition of the California Fire Code.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-0. Thank
Thank you.
you, Chief. B, first reading and introduction of ordinance number 2019, next number, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Newman, amending Title 11 Public Ways and Property and Title 6 Subdivisions, Section 11.06 Sewerage Systems, and Section 6.02 Minimum Conditions of Subdivision Approval of the Newman City Code.
Thank you, Mayor. So as you know, the city of Newman, we receive all of our potable water from our groundwater. So essentially, we have groundwater wells, pull the water up and put it into our system. Unfortunately, here on the west side of the San Joaquin Valley, our water is very hard due to a high salinity content. And what that does is that pushes many residents to get water softeners to lessen the impact on their appliances as well as the feel of the water when they shower and get cleaned up. In April of 2018, the California Water Board issued a new WDR, which is a wastewater discharge requirements for our sewer plant. That order sets forth the terms, conditions, and effluent limitations, but it also, under requirement D16D, requires the city to go ahead and pass 2 ordinances, and we're doing it under one today, but, so the first one would require after January 1st of 2020, you cannot install a new self-regenerating water softener at your house. And that is also includes some definitions in here, but it includes water softeners or conditioning appliances that discharge sodium, chloride, or other saline substances directly to the community sewer system. So it discharges it into the sewer system. What ultimately happens is that's a high salt concentration that ends up at our wastewater treatment plant. Our treatment plant is not geared to break down salt. So ultimately, when we land apply, that salt goes into the ground and then subsequently into the groundwater. And so that's what the state's trying to prevent, is to reduce the amount of salt actually going out to the sewer treatment plant. So the first one would be, cannot install a new one after January 2020, a self-regenerating one. And what you can install is, what we're going to talk about in the next one, is ones that are not self-regenerating. So what they do is they discharge it into a tank, and then you have a contract with the company, and they come and take those tanks and discharge that at somebody else's sewer system. So the second piece of this is effective January 1st of 2023. We've given people who already have existing systems, as we were negotiated a different time on January 1st of 2023. If you have one that's already a self-regenerating it, after January 1st of 2023, you can no longer replace it with another self-regenerating. Okay, you have to then convert to the non-self-regenerating or a container system, cartridge system, as part of that. And this is language that comes directly out of our state order. So this is something that this is not the city pushing this forward. This is the state requiring the city to do this under these deadlines. It's in our orders for our wastewater treatment plant. If we don't, we'll find out of compliance and they can fine us accordingly. So those are the 2 pieces in there, and there's also some definitions that we included. We included a third piece in here that's going to fall under Title 6, Section 6.02, which minimum conditions of subdivision approval. So what we're saying is any new subdivision or development that comes in after January 1st of 2020, they're going to be required to install one of these new non-self-regenerating water softeners in the house before the owner moves in. So that way, people don't put one in after they move in. Easy for, our code already requires you to get a permit for it, but a lot of people don't. So we just think by having the developer put one in ahead of time, at least it's pushing people down that path already, and it's already trying to receive compliance on there. So that's another condition on there, and that'll be a cost that the developer will bear by putting that in. Either that or they have to put one in for the entire development, which doesn't make any any sense, so they would put individual ones in the unit, so. So with that, there's really minimal impact on us with respect to fiscal impact. And so, again, we're just doing this to comply with our WDR order issued by the state so we would not be found out of compliance and fined by the state. So with that, tonight we're asking you to introduce this ordinance and move it forward. At our next meeting, and it's already been advertised on October 22nd, we'll have a public hearing on this item. I can answer any questions that you may have. I also included copies of, I didn't include the whole order that the state issued for the WDR, but there is, in your staff report, that section of the order in there, so you can see the wording and it's highlighted on there for you. So I just wanted to show you that, again, this is the state pushing the city to adopt this.
So, quick question on the clarification on the 2023 date.
Yes.
That's just if you replace one that you currently have, it has to be the newer version that doesn't discharge.
Correct.
But as long as yours doesn't die and you don't replace it, you're still good.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So what about godfathering?
That's what that
is. That's what that is. So you're grandfathered in until January 1st of 2023. If you replace it right before that, then you got 7 years or 8. Mine tend to last about 7 years. Other people's may last longer, but the water softeners, as long as it's replaced before January 1st of 2023, after that, you would have to then move into the new system.
So let me ask you this. I guess my mind is just wondering now in terms of with this situation, although this is a statewide ordinance, that as City of Newman, what can we do? Because we know we're dealing with well water and we're dealing with, some really hard water here. And that's one of the main reasons why most people put the water softeners in. And what can the city do in reference to trying to help out, people that's going to be dealing with this on an ongoing basis? Not the new divisions that are coming in, but the people that's going to be, dealing with the.
What we're doing, council member, is the first thing we're doing is we're drilling the new well 10, and that area is higher quality of water. And the salinity level is lower than it is on our existing well, so that's going to impact residents. Unfortunately, no matter where we drill in this area, we're going to have a high salinity content, but as our new well it's going to be significantly lower than our existing stuff. Probably a good 20%, is that right, Catherine? About 20% lower?
Yes.
Salinity content, so it'll be a lesser one, but unfortunately, just the aquifer that we sit on is just geographic location. The aquifer we sit on, while there's some portions of it that are a little bit better quality because they sit closer to a creek or an underground river bed or something like that, may have better quality, but it's still going to have a high salinity content.
Does the state regulation require that we ship all that brine water down to LA?
That's
Disposal is going to be a real problem.
Yeah, so what ends up happening is that there are companies that do that already, and I don't know how they dispose of it. That's them working with the state, so.
Michael, do we have any idea how many people have water softeners? Because I've never had a water softener and I never need one.
We don't, but we did a city salinity evaluation and minimization plan, and water softeners do contribute pretty significantly to the total amount of salt that we get out at our wastewater treatment plant. It's not our biggest. We do have some larger industrial users that do that, but the state feels that it's an impact, and so they're requiring us to put this in. So.
Would you say that newer homes more likely have water softeners than the
What I would say is, if I had to guess, I would say most of the newer residents tend to have water softeners because they've come from an area that didn't have hard water.
Right.
And residents that have been here a long time, that may be a little bit more used to hard water, probably don't.
Yeah.
That would how I would probably break that out. But I bet you if I had to guess, I would guess over 50%.
Okay. Thank you.
You
I had to
mentioned,
guess.
you mentioned industrial. Does this order address that?
It does not. We have individual permits with industrial ones, and we've worked with them already to reduce the amount of salinity salt that they're contributing to our wastewater system. And they've done a good job, and they've reduced theirs by over 20% over the last probably 5 to 7 years. But again, the state is continuing to push us. The sad part is even if we eliminated all of our salt, it still drops in the bucket compared to what's going on in the whole valley. So the impact is negligible, but again, we're under their control, and so.
So under this ordinance, all new divisions that come into the city of Newman, that means that they would have to go under the new ordinance in terms of not having a water softener, but they can have an existing water condition in their home that
Yeah.
will deal with.
And it may be a softener, or maybe a conditioner, it just will not discharge
salt.
directly into the sewer system. And all new ones after January 1st, 2020, not including the build-out of any projects that may be approved to date, the developers will be installing those
Right.
as part of it, so. And Mayor, I know today's not the public hearing, but I'd probably at least open it up and see if anybody in the
Sure.
member wants to, or the public wants to comment.
Okay, before I bring it back to council for direction, I'm going to open to the general public for any comments. If anyone would like to tell us how soft your water is.
Mine is. I have water softener.
Okay.
And when does this come back to the council for, if we adopt this, when would it come back to the council for the
So,
public hearing?
Yeah, the public hearing is scheduled for October 22nd.
Okay. Okay, since there is no questions from the public, I'll bring it back to the council for direction.
I move that we adopt the first reading and introduction of ordinance 2019, next number, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Newman, amending Title 11 Public Ways and Property, and a title, is that the right one? Oh, yeah, it is. Property and Title 6 Subdivision, Section 11.06, sewage system, and Section 6.02, minimum conditions of subdivisions approval of the Newman City Code.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion's made and seconded. All those
Second, I
in
thought it
favor?
was the previous one, then the screen didn't get changed.
Yeah.
Okay, here again, motion's been made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-0. Thank you, Michael. Okay, we're moving on to item 11, items from District 5, Stanislaus County Supervisor, Mr. Jim D. Martini. Welcome, Jim. We're moving a little bit slow tonight, but
Save the best for last.
Good evening, Mayor Martina, members of the council. You guys are at light speed compared to other cities, so you just don't waste any time here. We have a little bit of news tonight, not a lot, but the first one is good news. Stanislaus County was awarded $756,000 this last week for the rebuilding and rehabilitation of the Bonita Park. There was money came from the Natural Resources Agency. It was from a bond measure. So there was $37 million awarded altogether on 21 different projects. The only one in Stanislaus County that got the award was this one for Bonita Park. That is a near abandoned park right now with a swimming pool that's been completely shut down years ago.
that's Crow's Landing, Jim.
Right.
Yeah, that's Crow's Landing.
That's really exciting, because you know something? Those people need it. That's a shot in the arm for them. They've done without that for a long time, and
Yeah, that's, it's a small town, 500 people or so, and $756,000 would be way more money than we could ever raise out of that town.
Yeah.
For it. But anyway, that's the good news. So it's, of the 21 projects that were awarded statewide, this is the only one Stanislaus County was awarded. We did apply for, I think, 2 or 3 more.
Nice.
I brought my own water this time, so and have the city managers would have to get up and bring me one. But anyway, that's some good news. As far as the air base, the engineering is going on now. We do have $4 million dollar contract with somebody doing the storm drain and the roads and all that. So that will be done sometime next year, and then the county will be looking for a master developer who can actually, build the project, or at least part of it at a time. There's no way that thing's going to get built all at once, but at least get started on it. The county's not capable of really developing the project. We will put in about $22 million or maybe more into infrastructure, into roads, the beginning of the sewer plant, water, utilities, and but it takes a lot to get that off the ground, but we're not capable of developing it, so we're going to be looking for somebody who can do that. Also, as far as the task force is going, we have a meeting coming up this next week in Patterson. It will be on October 17th. It's Thursday night, Hammond Senior Center, 6 o'clock. So if anybody's interested, we always welcome any member from the public to come. We did have the senior program on September 30th, and that was really successful. It was a health and nutrition program. I attended it too. There was about 60 people who went to it, and it was really good speakers on stuff like strokes, heart disease, diet, and the importance of exercise. So it was a really very well done program. I think it went over really well. And then, of course, the art and essay contest is going on now, and we will be judging the entries on November 8th at Gustine City Hall. And that's all I have this evening.
That's good news, Jim. Thank you.
Yeah, I figured you'd like the news on Bonita Park. It was a competitive bid, and, the grants, and so you're competing against all these other jurisdictions, so you just never know if you're going to get it or not. You just put in your project and hope for the best.
Yeah.
And we did win that, so.
That's great. Good.
So now, I asked Parks Department what the next step is, and we will actually work out a plan now. We had a rough plan that was approved, like, redoing the swimming pool and stuff. Now we will do the actual plan and then hire a contractor to build it.
Nice. Outstanding.
Fantastic. That, we're going to move on to item 12, items from the city manager and staff.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Just a reminder for Councilmember Graham and Councilmember McDonald, 2+2, next Tuesday, 4 p.m. This Friday, we have our last Harvest Festival on the plaza. It's been very successful. I think the vendors have been very happy with the turnouts out there. So if you haven't had an opportunity there, please stop by. If you're going to buy the berries and some of those fruits, get there early because they tend to sell out pretty quickly. The blackberries are very delicious and good. This is fall cleanup week. So you have until Saturday to go ahead and get your stuff down there to get that fall cleanup. Curbside pickup doesn't start till November, so please don't put that out until then. Catherine and I went to Sacramento this week and met with the Army Corps of Engineers and a couple other agencies that were on the phone to discuss our LID wetlands project out there. And we were kind of surprised that they weren't real enthusiastic about it. You would think Army Corps of Engineers and Department of Water Resources and would see all the benefits that are going out there. And first thing they asked us was, well, can you build it somewhere else? I said, no, we already spent $1.3 million on that. So they just don't like the fact that it's already wetlands and you can't make wetlands better and bigger. They want them just the way they are. Anyways, that didn't totally kill our project, but there's a few more steps that we need to go through. So we've been working with a lady that the state has put us in contact with, and she's been paid through a grant that we have, and her name's Darla. So we're going to go ahead and get some wetland delineation done out there and hopefully get this project, keep moving it forward and forward. We're not giving up on this site. Some of the lands that they wanted us to use, are already earmarked for a sewer plant in our land application, so it doesn't really work to move it to a different site. That's why we're going to use it on this one. So we're sticking with our original plan, and so we're going to continue to move forward. We have one grant application due this Friday, we have another one due next Friday, and our third one, which is really the cleanup of the stormwater, doesn't have a deadline yet, so we're continuing to work towards that. So while there were some hurdles there, all is not lost. And then just lastly, I'd like to congratulate Officers Parrott and Officer Lopez. Officer Parrott and Lopez ran the Fallen Officer Memorial Run in full gear, which includes an additional 25 pounds on them. And they did that this last Sunday, and they both completed it. So my hat's off to them. That's what a tremendous feat. Just 13.1 miles in full gear. So, so amazing. That's what those two gentlemen did. So, and it was, Tony, yeah, Sheriff Officer Tony and Corporal Singh were two of the officers that had fallen to Stanislaus County this year. So it was a memorial to them, and the medals were given out and had their badges on there. So that's good of them. They ran in honor of Ron, who was a good friend of theirs. So with that, I can answer any questions that you may have.
I don't know, Michael, why is the Army Corps of Engineers always out of step with everyone else?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like the money they wasted on the project.
Could have built it. Could have built it for all we wasted on it.
Does anybody know how much money was wasted there?
The county does, Jim knows.
No, I mean,
We're talking about Arsene
I'm sorry, I
McCree,
shouldn't
Jim.
say that, but,
Yeah, so.
yeah, it was,
Anyways, but we'll keep moving it forward. We still believe in this project. We still think it's a community asset. We still think that the end product is a cleaner stormwater that ultimately discharges into either the river or the groundwater.
right.
And we think it is a community benefit that'll have trails and our environmental education, and we still have our partnership with UC Merced moving forward. So we're not deterred. We'll set back a little bit, but not deterred, and we'll continue to move forward. And Catherine says she's not retiring till this thing is built.
Oh.
All right.
That's it, Michael?
That's all I have for you, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
With that, Chief, do you have anything tonight?
Just a quick update, we're talking about Officers Parrott and Lopez. Just a week prior to that run, which was last weekend, we all went out to New York City and took part in the Tunnels to Towers 5K run. We were invited back there by them. We were their guest. What a amazing organization that is. If you ever get a chance and would like to donate, I know they do the $11 a month donation. It's a great cause. They paid off Corporal Singh's house, and they've also paid off houses for Army, our military personnel, fire department, first responders. So if I could just put a plug out there, I would say go to the Tunnels to Towers and donate. It's a great organization.
Fantastic. Good for you. We're proud of you, Chief. That's the way to do it. Lou?
I didn't have anything in particular tonight. We're still working with our auditors to complete the financials from last year, and we're still on schedule to be presenting the first part of December. But happy to answer any questions you might have.
As long as you're not sad, we're happy.
No, we're good.
As long as you got money in your pocket, we're happy.
I do, actually.
With that, Catherine?
I have no report this evening. Thank you. I'll take any questions if you have any.
You have anything tonight?
Yeah, I'll take her time. All right. No, first I want to recognize someone so she can get out of here. She's got a little one with her. I sent you guys an email about firefighter Anderson, who recently completed a task book and is now a driver operator, so she's in the audience tonight. If you want to just stand up or wave real quick so I can see you. Thank you, guys. This is a great opportunity for her too. She's now able to function in the operator role, which means she can drive the apparatus all by herself. She can pump for us and all that. So in a volunteer agency, it gets hard to fill these roles because there's so many requirements. She had to complete probably over 100 hours worth of training just to get this certification or this task but completed. So it was all done on her own time and everything. So it's a great accomplishment, and it's going to help us out a lot at the fire department. So I'm glad she could bring her daughter out with her and I could introduce her. So thank you. Next, also, I want to talk about a couple other things. I don't know if you saw the tweet on the county's website. $12 million came from the state to our county for a communications project. So that's going to help our local fire department directly. I don't know how much of that's going to be for us, but we're negotiating that right now with the rest of the agencies in the county. So that's a big win for us. I don't know if you guys know, but one mobile radio for inside our vehicle can cost up to $7,000, $8,000. So this is going to be huge for us. And the ones we carry on our hips, easily $2,000. So this is huge for our county, and we'll benefit directly. Also, I don't know if you guys heard, there was a line of duty death in Gustine. He's a Merced County firefighter, Captain Paul Rotondo. So they had a candlelight visual for him tonight in Gustine, one of our apparatuses down there to help recognize that. And then Wednesday, which is tomorrow from 4 to 8, there'll also be a viewing and a rosary in Merced off of Yosemite. And then on Thursday, we'll be providing station coverage for them. So your local Newman fire engine will be in Gustine. We'll be covering their town for them so that their guys could go to the funeral services. And then we'll have staffing here too. So we'll be covering here too also. So we're going to have staffing for both stations. I can answer any questions on those few things so far. I got a couple other things.
Question, maybe you're going to cover it, the PG&E, PSPS?
It's on its way, yeah. So I just wanted to make sure you didn't have any questions on that. Fire Prevention Week is this week. We've already done 2 schools. On the 7th, we did Barrington, and we reached 447 students. So we were out there for a little over an hour. I want to thank Bill. He helps a lot with that, working with our auxiliary to get the materials at a reduced cost and all. So, and then we also today we were at Bonita, which was 147 kids. Tomorrow we'll be at Hunt, and then on Thursday we'll be at Von Renner, which is going to be another probably 800 kids total in those 2 schools. So I just wanted to let you guys know we're doing that all week. And then the fun stuff, you guys want PG&E, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we did get notification that PG&E will be doing their power shutdowns. Our county was one of the counties recognized in the power shutdown. However, it's not anticipated to directly affect the city. It says in our area, 190 customers that could be affected by this shutdown, but based on the maps, it appears it's going to be in more like the rural areas. They're not anticipating city. The communities that are close that are going to be directly affected include Grayson and Wesley, with probably a total of almost 700 customers. So yeah, the whole town, it looks like almost probably the whole town of Wesley and Grayson are going to be affected. So yeah, the power is expected to go out Wednesday. It'll be midnight, actually, between midnight to 4 is when they're going to start de-energizing. It's anticipated to be out until about 12 o'clock on Thursday, in the afternoon, 12 in the afternoon on Thursday, and it can take up to 5 days to re-energize. So, yeah, so there's people in those areas, or if you know someone, you might want to talk to them and let them know that there is that potential. You can try to view it on the PG&E website for wildfire safety, but they've had such an increase in traffic on that website, it's kind of slowing down. I think it actually went down once or twice. So that's all I had for now. I can answer any questions you guys might have.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Will we have a notice in terms of when PG&E is going to, if it does hit our area, will we have an advance notice?
So yeah, this is our advance notice. It's not going to hit us that we're anticipating. But yeah, they told us Monday morning, so we found out Monday. We've been having conference calls. You guys should have gotten emails from me, I hope? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much what they're giving, about 48 hours notice before it happens. But it's not, none of the maps or anything I'm seeing is showing our city, but they recognize any address that comes up as Newman. So if it's, if it's on the border of the county and it's a Newman address, they're going to say it's going to affect Newman, but not
How long does it last? Is it 3 hours, 4 hours
The event, the power shutdown, it just depends on weather. So this one is anticipated for a little over 24 hours, because if it hits midnight tonight and doesn't come back until afternoon on Thursday, it'd be, 36 hours probably? Yeah, and then it just depends on if they can re-energize right away, because now they have to go through and they inspect all the lines before they turn them back on.
But what triggers this is the wind, right?
The wind, yeah, well, it's a weather event, so typically wind, yeah, for our area.
They don't want to do their job, so they turn the power off.
You're not asking a question, you're making a statement, right?
Well, you're supposed to speak for the city. Tell them, it's,
I'll bring up your concerns for sure.
well, it's really, it's unbelievable that they don't do their job, so what they do is they shut the power off so they don't have to worry about it. It does not make any sense.
Just for clarification, the purpose is when the wind's blowing, if they de-energize the line and it goes down,
Yeah.
it doesn't cause a fire, which is one of the worst things that can happen during this time of the year when the fire season is so bad. And so I understand, it's a pain, and
It's more than pain.
they should be doing their job and all that stuff.
The event may
But-
last 5 days, and if it's 5 days, anything that's in your freezer is history.
Is history, that's
And
it.
what I'm saying is,
Yeah, we definitely should be preparing, and again, not for us, but those that this is going to affect. We definitely need to prepare. All of you guys take the camping stuff out of your attics and, those kind of things if you're affected area. But yeah, and then there was a question about alerts. You guys, if you did sign up, that you will get alerts on your phone from PG&E or whatever device you ask them to. But
I just don't like them throwing it back in our faces. What I'm saying, I think that they should be held responsible. There's been enough fires caused by PG&E. That's probably the reason they're going through this right now. But anyway, I'll shut my mouth.
I would never ask that, but.
Good
Right.
question, Bob. Good question.
They're as bad as Caltrans.
I'm sorry.
That's
Chief,
another,
that's good information.
that's another worthless organization.
And we appreciate the updates that you've
Oh,
been
yeah,
sending the council.
I share them with my people at work, too.
Absolutely.
Good, yeah, that's all great information, so I'll
Oh,
keep
it's
doing it.
unbelievable information.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
With that, Council,
I got nothing.
Leroy?
Yeah, I just want to identify a young man, which is assistant pastor at our church. His name is Charles. He ran in the marathon Sunday. And he was one of the guys that we really appreciate him. He gets out for all the events, or even for the cancer events, and he runs these marathons. So I want to recognize Charles this evening. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Nick, anything tonight? Or anything tonight?
Firefighter Anderson, that was great accomplishment, and we appreciate you having her come in tonight.
That was very nice.
Thank you.
Only comment I'll make, Nick and I made it to the farmer's market last Friday and got some good vegetables, and I highly recommend anyone go in there because
Tomatoes were awesome.
I think one thing, it's a nice location, it's very pleasant, and it's out of the way, and it was very nice. With that, I'm going to ask for adjournment.
And when you see Ally, tell her thanks. So move.
Okay, motion been made, and second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. We are adjourned.